I'm here with Alex today, who is visiting Santa Monica for another treatment for back pain. You want to give a brief summary of what happened and
Sure. I was lifting weights at the gym. I guess I twisted and turned. Movement I had done multiple times before, and all of a sudden my back gave out. Didn't think it was a big deal. I've historically been a gym rat and thought it would just go away. And it didn't. And it kept on getting worse until finally it got really bad. Went to the doctor, and they said physical therapy and put me on all these pain meds. Long story short, did that for like a year and a half.
can you describe like your emotional state at the time that you were feeling that pain? Like for me, when I had a back injury, it was really tied to my emotional state. Like I would be crying, I would be feeling like
Sure.
trapped.
Sure.
And you said you felt similarly, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was very scary, no question about it. It was. There's a lot of anxiety just because of how much it limits you, and you can't do a lot of the things that you take for granted.
Yeah.
Like, very simple movements like leaning over to brush your teeth or pick things up from the bathroom or sitting for a long time. Eventually for me it got so bad I stopped driving.
Yep.
So I don't even do very basic things, right? And it also impacts your social life because, at least for me, I don't feel comfortable just going out, having dinner or anything like that because I don't sit.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, that's right.
So my mom went through some back pain. It's kind of the thing that finally got me to quit playing video games. I think I told you I was addicted to video games for like 10 years. And my mom was asking me to help move some furniture, and I told her I was going to be able to. And then the people that I was playing World of Warcraft with rescheduled the time at which we were going to be getting together to go kill dragons. And so I told my mom I wasn't going to be able to make it because I had to work. I kind of lied to her. It was somewhat true because I had to work too, but mostly it was because of this obligation to my friends that were trying to kill dragons. And she's still kind of recovering from her back pain. She ended up probably, this other injury she got was kind of related to it. Just walking downstairs, she fell and got really injured down some stairs. But that might have been related to just, lack of mobility in general. You just don't function the same after a back injury. Like you stop trusting your own body.
Absolutely.
And you can't move the same way you used to. And I felt really bad about that because if I had been there to help her move furniture, then she wouldn't have hurt her back, And I know I can't really blame myself, but I do. And so, and I'm always hearing the same things from her, It impacts my social life, it impacts this, and I can't imagine how hard it has been for her to recover from that. I think it's getting better now for her, like she can mostly do everything, she's not limited, but I think she still experiences pain, and she's on a diet right now that I think is helping her a lot, called the Whole30 diet. But anyways, the point of this video, what I wanted to interview you about, is just talking about, like, what is pain? Like, when you're feeling it, what are you actually feeling? Like, what is it? When I grew up skateboarding, right, I think I told you I would fall after like trying to jump down like 10 stairs.
Yeah.
Maybe nearly break my leg, stab up my arm, and I'd lay there on the ground and I'd almost be feeling like a gratitude for my pain because I was alive and like, even though I failed at trying to do the trick, like, and it hurt so bad, I would just lay there.
Yeah.
And I'd be like feeling that and feeling so kind of happy to be able to feel that.
Yeah.
In a way. And, I would just lay there and experience it and like kind of enjoy that feeling. And I learned to kind of enjoy pain in a weird way. But with back pain, it was the hardest struggle for me of any pain I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I hear you.
It was deeply emotional for me. Like I would break down in tears. Like you get stuck in a position and you can't move and you're afraid that you're not going to be able to move ever again.
Yeah.
It's a weird fear. So it's like the pain is tied into that fear in a way.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yeah, what do you think?
So I think for me, and I know this is going to sound super simple, but there's a massive night and day difference between acute short-term pain and chronic pain. And so I'll give you an example, right? I used to be a gym rat, play all sorts of sports. So just like you, I would get banged up all the time. Like knees, shoulders, bruises, bleeding, cuts, no problem. Because usually your expectation, and this is even emotionally, right, is that you'll hurt for a bit, but it'll go away.
Mhm.
And so that pain sometimes is gratifying because you're living it, you're feeling it, but it's fleeting. It'll go away. And to a large extent, it's within your control. All you have to do is rest, and it'll go away. I think, right? Generally speaking, that's been like.
Sure.
And so, like, playing all those sports, for me, it was almost like the adrenaline. You get the pain, you're all banged up for a few days, but it goes away. Maybe a week, maybe 2 at most, but then it goes away. The issue with chronic pain is all of a sudden it's no longer in your control.
So what's the difference between the two? It's the same signal, right? Like it's the same sensation to the brain.
It's the feeling. Well, I think there's two things. One is your emotional reaction to something that's in your control and it's going to go away. Something that you expect to be temporary.
Right. Yeah.
Versus something that you're like, oh man,
I can never do anything about this.
I don't know if this is ever going to go away.
Yeah. Have you ever felt anything, any emotional pain that's similar to that concept? Like, someone calls you a name, you're like, okay, that hurts. Maybe it hurts your ego a little bit, but you know that it's just a stupid argument. But like, you go through a breakup and that person blocks you, and you're like, wow, I'm never gonna talk to that person again. Like it's like a forever altering of you instead of a temporary altering of you. I think that's a similar emotional. You never experienced that?
I've never. I think, and again, everyone's different, right? Everyone's different. But for me, something that's been a big sort of marking, something that's marking as a person in my life, is that I always feel that I can do something about something. So what I mean by
what
that
about death in family? You ever had anyone in your family die?
Yes.
So you can't do anything about that, right? Like they got cancer or something?
You're right, I can't do anything. Well, sorry. I haven't, I guess I've never tried preventing a death. I haven't had that much time.
Right. You never said, oh, I gotta find a cure for this.
That's right. It's always just been like a surprise thing. It's done now. And now what I can do about it is...
What about someone in your family that's getting older now, though? That, like, maybe has a heart condition or...
Not yet.
There's going to be, like, they only have 5 years left or something.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah. So I experienced the death of my grandma from cancer when I was 6. My dad when I was 12. My grandfather when I was 12. And my first girlfriend killed herself right around that time as well, just after that. And so there was all these things, like, out of my control. And I kind of blamed God because I was very Christian when I was young.
Yeah.
And I hated God. And the pain that I was experiencing manifested as kind of like this. I don't know, anger. Like they say, like you go through these several stages of acceptance or whatever, where it's like pain, anger, all that stuff. And I guess I went through that somewhat with those things. But there's like the pain that I had from losing my first girlfriend is something that I still feel all the time. Like if I think about it, and I've been in counseling, it's going to be with me forever. It's going to haunt me.
Yeah.
In every relationship that I have, it's going to manifest in some sort of way where I have some sort of fear that probably causes other problems, right?
Got it.
Like we're talking about, like maybe my mom fell down the stairs because she had that other injury. And I have to make sure that I'm not, that I'm healing as much as I can so that I don't cause myself future injuries.
Yeah.
And so pain is a weird thing because it can, like, it's like this dark force that can, like, control you.
Yeah. I just had a way of, I guess, saying something differently.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, you know how a lot of people usually say that, if you want to boil down your, kind of like your purpose in life or what you're doing in life,
yeah,
it becomes very simple. You want to run away from suffering or prevent suffering,
yeah.
and move towards things that make you happy. Very simple, right?
Sure.
If you are going to oversimplify it.
Yeah.
And sort of the net of those two forces, to some extent, result in your overall well-being or happiness, or
perhaps
at the very most basic level, right?
I mean, some people say like life is suffering. Like a lot of like the Catholic religion has like so much of this guilt and suffering baked into it that like they think that that's a good state to live within almost.
I understand. But I guess the point with that is
Like they enjoy it, right? It's like a masochism where pain is pleasure.
Or at least for me, in most of the pain that I've had, like let's call that suffering, right? Just
Sure.
for 1 second.
Yeah.
I've always had plenty of leeway or runway into moving into what can I do to make myself happy. So even if there's something I might not have too much control over here,
Right.
I can still pursue things that make me happy.
Cool.
Either my dreams, who I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been very marked in terms
You know what you can control. You still have a certain amount of control.
Of course, I can
So it
always
comes
keep
back to
on
control.
working towards making myself happy. The issue, I think, with this back pain is that not only did it introduce a lot of suffering, like on the pain side, right? But it also now is preventing me from pursuing all these things that I found a lot of happiness.
That you want. in
So
your
now,
life.
not only do I have pain,
Yeah.
but I do this big roadblock in front of, like,
Oh yeah.
who I want to be as a person. Who I
Yeah.
mean, as career aspirations, social aspirations. It just.
Yep.
And so I think that's the big difference in this type of pain.
Yeah.
Not only did it introduce suffering, it also put like a block on the pursuit of happiness, if you want to call it that way. It stops you.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've been through some situations where roadblocks have been put in front of me where I want something and I can't have it. Whether it's talking to an ex-girlfriend or going to a dance event or whatever it is that you want to do that you can't control the universe. The universe controls you in some ways, and other people have their own. They want to pursue their own things, and sometimes your boundaries conflict with theirs, and you have to come to an agreement of where you're going to be, what place you're going to have in the universe, and what control and power you do have over yourself in your own life. Have you read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
Oh, you should read it. It's great. He's like a Holocaust survivor, and he talks a lot about focusing on what you can control and finding happiness in those ways. So like even if control is taken away from you entirely, like I was mentioning that guy that has no arms or legs and he's somehow really happy, right? And he gives motivational talks and stuff, and he has to accept the fact he's never gonna have arms or legs. You still have arms and legs. You just have some back pain.
You know what? I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
So you're focusing on what you can control, right?
To be very honest with you, I think this has also made me realize how good I've usually had it in life.
Yeah.
And how weak I am.
Oh my God, yeah, I know that,
Wow.
that feeling, yeah.
I
I'm
am
so weak, dude. I'm so weak. Like, I've been thinking about how lucky I am, how blessed I am. I was running on the beach the other day, and I just kind of broke down crying from happiness. It was the weirdest feeling because I realized how lucky I am to have such a healthy body and a healthy mind and, like, a beautiful place to live. And, I'm still pretty young and pretty successful and, like, all these things that I wasn't aware of, right? Because I'm always telling myself these stories of feeling controlled.
Yeah.
I'm not even realizing how much freedom I have compared to probably the large majority of people. Being a white male is one of those privileges, but also other kinds of privileges as well. Just having had access to education that was very good when I was young. I had some amazing teachers. I'm so grateful that I had them. And the GATE program growing up was incredible, teaching me to think outside the box. And yeah, I'm almost grateful for the roadblocks that I encounter. I'm starting to feel because they prevent me from going towards things, sure, but they show me that I don't have control over everything, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. Like, if I bought all the food in the world, if my fridge could manufacture food and I could press a button and get anything I wanted, that would be terrible because I would be so fat. I would be eating ice cream. I would be eating cake like almost every night. Like, it would be bad. Self-control, right? Like, so the universe sometimes gives us something in our lives for some purpose, and the more we fight against that roadblock, sometimes the worse it gets and the more painful it feels. And the worse that we're causing our own problem. And I think pain is very, very related to this. Like when you are when you're reacting poorly to whatever way in which you're being controlled. We were talking about surfing waves when I was out with this girl I was on a date with, and when a wave pushes you under, if you struggle and you use all your energy to try to get out,
yeah.
you don't last underwater for more than like 15 seconds because you're struggling and you run out of energy.
Yeah.
But if you just let the wave push you and you ride it out and you're calm with your movements, then you can stay like a minute underwater and you come back up and everything's fine. And so sometimes, like when you're fighting constantly, you're depriving yourself of enjoying that ride of being underwater for that minute. Like that's part of life too.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to say, like enjoy your suffering, but
then
enjoy your suffering.
It goes back to that concept of knowing you're going to come back out, knowing it's going to be a fleeting moment.
It might not be. Maybe
then
it's
you
not.
wouldn't be enjoying being underwater.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll die. Yeah.
I don't think you would enjoy it. So, like the way you just phrased it, right? It was phrased in such a way in which you know you're going to be right back out.
No, not necessarily though. Like if I'm held under, like I have to do what I can, but staying calm is important. I have to, like you said, control the things I'm able to, but I have to do so in a calm manner because if I don't, I'm making things worse for myself.
I agree.
And for me, that's pain. Emotional pain is very, very related to that. I'm in this support group with guys that feel really, really pained, and I see them reacting. Like I thought that I reacted poorly to some things I went through emotionally, immaturely. I'm like, oh, I wish I could have responded better. I wish I was more grown up. I'm 36 years old. Why am I acting like a child? And then I see these other guys having to deal with it too, and I'm like, okay, I forgive myself for being such a kid. Like I've learned my lesson a little bit, and I'm going to learn to enjoy the ride a little bit more. And I find that when I have that mentality, the pain kind of disappears. At least the emotional pain does. Physical pain has been somewhat similar to me, where if I just imagine that I felt that way when I was born, like that signal that I'm feeling in my brain, I've felt this way forever. It's what being Seth is about, is feeling this pain. Like I kind of have that concept around my girlfriend's suicide now. Like I can feel that pain and I can be aware of it, and it's like a signal that's a really deep, powerful signal that gives me all kinds of understanding of the universe in ways that many people will not have it. And I can be grateful for that, even though it's so painful. I can be aware of it, but I don't have to let it control me. I don't have to try to fight against it. I don't have to suffer because of it. So I think pain and suffering are different. I think you are the only one that decides you decide to suffer, and you have a choice in suffering. And once you realize that,
so actually,
it helps alleviate the pain.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
Cool.
I agree with you on that. That's a nice distinction, yeah.
Yeah. So the more we become aware of that, the better and the easier we'll be able to solve the pains in our lives and not suffer from them.
So I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. It's just, sometimes it's just. Not that, sorry, it's a very hard thing to do, right? It's just not like.
It's an impossible thing to do. I was really critical. I went to this kind of this therapy thing called the Bridge Experience with Alexi and Preston Smiles. And we did a couple different exercises that were very difficult for me. And at one point, he was talking about this in a way that, words, English is a language that's bastardized off of so many other languages. Part of the reason why I want to learn Russian is because they have words that just don't exist in our language that mean so much. And I love words. So there's not a good way to say what he was trying to say, but I think I interpreted his words and tried to hold him accountable to them in kind of a mean way, because I do that to people sometimes. I try to make them use words correctly, which is kind of some people think I'm an asshole because I do that, but I think language is important, and being able to understand something clearly and truly, is like the best feeling in the world when you actually get something that you've been trying to understand, and you're like, oh my god, I get it. So language is important to use correctly for that reason. And he was basically saying that, you can, basically what we just said, suffering is up to you. It's a choice to not suffer. And I felt like that's kind of minimizing the emotional feelings that someone might really have. Maybe someone really does have a chemical imbalance in their brain that's causing depression, And let me check my phone real quick. I don't know who this is. It's really kind of abusive to tell them, oh, it's your fault. You have a choice. Because maybe they don't have a choice. Maybe it's chemicals in their brain. But, you know, going running,
And unfortunately,
chemicals and-
I feel that sometimes that happens too often. People don't understand the other person's situation,
Right.
and they tell them, "Oh, it's your fault."
Right, so I'm not telling you that your back pain is your fault, obviously.
No.
Some people say, like, there's someone drowning, and it's like, all you have to do is throw them, like, something floatable, and then they wouldn't have to, like, be struggling, because they could have something to float with.
Yeah.
And telling them, oh, you're making it worse for yourself. Why are you struggling? Just relax. They're like, fuck, I'm going to drown. What are you talking about? I can't relax. Yeah, like deep breaths and like really owning what control we do have over our own lives and just deciding like, do I want to be this little kid that's kicking his legs and like basically drowning himself in 2 feet of water, you know, like what you're going through is not taking away your life. You have so much capability to do so many things, and same with me, you know, like I don't know why I kick my feet at times and try to struggle against the roadblocks that life puts in front of me. It's like I feel like, no, I deserve this. I'm entitled. Like maybe I grew up with entitlement, being a white kid, and so I just expect to have entitlement all the time. Plus, being intelligent, you know, like I go into a company and I do an interview, and they'll ask me a riddle, and I'll solve it instantly. They'll have a puzzle on the table. I'll pick it up and be like, oh, I solved the puzzle. You know, like because of that, like people usually give me a certain amount of privilege. Like, oh, he's smart. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and believe that he knows the best solution to this problem. And so I think I've abused that privilege in some ways sometimes, or I expect to have it. You know, when I go into a new group and I'm trying to raise awareness about something, I just expect people to believe me. Maybe because I'm a male, or because I'm intelligent, or because I'm older than them, or whatever, you know? Like, that entitlement of, you know what's right. It's terrible. I think I speak with a tone that's like that, too. I have a confidence somewhat that comes off as arrogant to some people. Like, oh, he thinks he knows what he's talking about. I know what's right for me anyways.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's your plan with your pain?
What do you mean I'm fighting it?
Are you suffering?
Of course. No question.
What do you want to suffer?
No.
What would end your suffering besides taking away the pain?
I don't know yet. I think that's the only path I...
Is that logical? I mean, because what you just said previously would contradict what you just said now. That's the only path. Ending your pain would be the only way to end your suffering. That contradicts what you said previously, right?
Sorry, that's the only path I have in mind right now.
Oh, that's the only thing you're aware of, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm aware of other paths. I haven't explored them. Intuitively, it doesn't feel like I need to do that now. In other words, as with other things in life that cause me suffering, right? I have to make a choice of how I address that suffering. Mm-hmm. And I address that suffering either by accepting the circumstances or trying to change them. And
right now, I mean, you address the pain,
the suffering. Remember, we said there's
different. Yeah, there is. So the suffering exists because you're making a choice to experience your pain.
To reject the
pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. I'm rejecting the
You're
pain.
Like, no, I'm going to go in this direction, even though the world is telling me I cannot.
Well,
and that causes suffering.
Correct. Let me see. It might be that the world is telling me I cannot. It might be that it's not.
Like you look at a sunset and you're like, oh God, I wish I could go for a run right now.
Yes.
And you can't, so you suffer.
To some extent, yeah. Sure.
I mean, is there a bike that you could use?
What do you mean?
Like maybe what are they called? The recalcitrant, those bikes where you lay down while you're biking, and you could bike around the beach like all day long. One of those. Have you ever done that?
No, but probably not.
What are you talking about? You'd be in the same position you're in now.
Trust me, no.
Okay.
I
mean, you're the only one who knows, but if you haven't tried it, I would say give it a shot. You could probably figure out some way to not have to suffer from that feeling. Like you want to get out, you want to move around.
So let me.
Sounds to me like you enjoy your suffering.
I don't want to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be...
You're afraid it will make it worse if you do anything.
I also have this other... I'm not going to call it condition.
Okay.
I have this other injury
Uh-huh.
I've been fighting in parallel with the back pain.
Okay.
And that other injury would prevent me from doing what you're describing.
Okay. I mean,
So I have 2 injuries right now.
gotcha.
So when I just had the back pain, only the back pain, it was bad, but I was semi-functional. When I had the other injury, everything just collapsed because I think they both provide core stability to my body, and I completely lost it. So now I have 2 injuries, and I've been working on both of them separately. They're both different things. But yeah.
So the direction you want to go in life right now is to solve this pain.
Both of them.
And if you're unable to solve it, then you will feel terrible, right?
If I am unable.
Let's say that you're in the same place next year. What are you going to do differently?
I don't know. I guess I'll only know once I get there. It's one of those
No,
things.
I want to imagine. Imagine that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, you just went through another year of feeling exactly like you did, trying different treatments, and nothing changed. And you were sitting on my couch here, and you're like, "Hey, Seth,
So
nothing's
actually,
changed. I'm feeling terrible."
actually, I wouldn't.
Would you feel better or would you feel worse a year from now? That's the question.
I would feel worse.
You would feel worse a year from now.
Yeah, but you said something really important. Nothing's changed, which has not been the case for me.
Okay.
Even though it's been marginal,
You've gotten some improvement.
which actually, now that I think, is pretty substantial.
Well, I'm not talking about the past now. I'm actually talking about the future at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, let's imagine that a year from now you're here again and you're like, "Hey, Seth, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this other treatment in Santa Monica again. Because maybe it really felt like it helped me last year. I want to try it again."
Sure.
And I'm just like, "Hey, Alex, like you're still living this story. What have you accomplished in the last year? What have you done?
Well,
Aside from that direction,
yeah.
Do you have other goals in life? Do you have other dreams and purposes?
I have a bunch of other dreams and purposes, but
Are you able to
they're all
pursue?
on hold.
They're all on hold.
They're
Yeah.
all on hold.
I know that feeling. I mean, I basically
on hold.
wasn't able to work when I experienced like the most painful thing recently in the last couple of years.
That's where I'm at.
I wasn't able to do anything. It was very hard to focus, and I feel like I had the thing that got me past it to where I could work again. It's just accept it. Like if you knew for sure that you were going to feel this way again a year from now, what would you do differently today? Like if you're like, "Oh shit, I'm going to feel this way a year from now anyways," I might as well accept it.
I have no idea.
Right. I'm just saying, if you think about that,
I don't want to.
your life will change substantially.
I don't want to.
Right. It's like accepting that the wave's going to hold you under for a little while longer. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying you'll probably get better eventually. It'll change.
I don't know.
But what I'm trying to suggest is that you might get better quicker if you start pursuing life outside of this particular goal.
I got you.
Because those other things will enable you to relax, and that relaxation and that release of that pain, that acceptance of that pain will stop the suffering.
I gotcha.
And then when you no longer feel like you're suffering, you're going to be like, "Oh, this pain is changing."
I gotcha. Although, I gotcha. So I understand what you're saying. Noted. I'll give you the flip side.
Okay.
Which perhaps this is what I'm so focused on.
Yeah.
For a year and 3 months. Or maybe like a year. Let's call it a year. For a solid 3 years, I didn't do much actively in the sense of focusing on the pain. So what I basically did, right, is I did what most people do, which is you go to the doctor, you trust them, you do whatever the doctor says, right? So for a solid year,
I don't, but yeah, I understand most people do.
for over a year, right, I actually didn't, quote unquote, worry about it. I was like, it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
I kept on working. I was working, by the way. I was just working. I was still going out, all that stuff. I had already changed some things. Like I was no longer sitting down at work. I was standing up all day. And I was doing everything the doctors were telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I wasn't obsessed about the pain. I wasn't worried about the pain. To be honest, I was on so many medications, I just couldn't even worry about it. I was so drugged out. Like, I was not focusing on the pain.
Yeah.
And guess what happened?
It got worse.
It got worse.
Yeah.
And so now I've been conditioned to say, you know what? And I hate to say these things, but sometimes, I don't know if you've heard the saying where someone says, if you want something done right, you kind of have to do it yourself.
You definitely do.
And
so let me give you the analogy, the surf analogy, that you're being held under by the wave.
Yeah.
And
The surf
what you did is you just closed your eyes and you're like, I'm not approaching any rocks. Like everything's good. But that's like ignoring any information that you might have had to help your like painkillers.
What do you
I'm
mean?
I'm so opposed to painkillers.
No, but I mean, sorry. To be honest, I kind of disagree with that just because, like,
Well, you agree with me pretty well.
the
Like,
doctors are your eyes.
the
In
doc.
theory,
Well,
they're supposed to
yeah.
be. They're supposed to be giving you
Right.
the right information.
It's
You
true.
know what I mean?
It's true.
It's almost like
But you're the only one living in your body, and so the doctors do a lot of disservice. I don't trust them a lot of times because they're going to do what's in their best interest.
so okay.
As long as the insurance companies
can I
can't get
expand
mad
on
at them,
that?
they'll take your money. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So in that time, I did start, quote unquote, firing my doctors.
All right.
And so what I mean by that is, I started with a doctor,
Mhm.
or I started with a chiropractor, then went to a chiropractor sports medicine doctor, then went to a orthopedic specialist, and give them a shot for who knows how many months, right? At that point, things didn't work, so I started getting second opinions, and I'm not gonna say it on YouTube, but or like online or anything, but I was actually going to a medical institution that you would say they're supposed to be pretty freaking
Yeah,
good.
they're supposed to be the best, and they're
This is-
disagreeing with themselves, right? Like.
So in theory, I was getting the best possible healthcare, you know, and I have pretty good insurance.
Yep.
So not only, I even remember them saying, like, you know what? Let us handle the physical therapy. Because at this point, I had told them, look, guys, I've done physical therapy like at 6 different places, right?
Yep.
And they're like, you know what? We feel better if we do it. And so, you know, they were, don't get me wrong, they're a little bit too proud, a little bit too full of themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, you guys handle the physical therapy. Same result.
Yeah. More
You
pain.
know? And so, for like a year, I gave multiple different doctors, multiple different specialists a chance, right? And they all kind of kept on flowing in a similar direction. The current was in a similar direction, right? Just from different mouths,
Mhm.
similar ways of thinking. So, at that point, I let them be my eyes. I'm no longer letting them be my eyes. So,
That's smart. You're opening your own eyes now. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. No, that's really smart. That's wise.
It's
And the
been
surf
hard.
analogy I was
It's
just
been
saying.
hard.
Like you have to know, like when you got hit over, like there might be rocks that direction. You might have to be aware of it, or you have to be aware of where your surfboard is in the water around you. You know, you don't want to get slammed back into your board. You know, like you're definitely like relaxed, but you're intelligent. So you're not like
Actually,
ignoring the fact that you're underwater. You know.
can I say one more thing? Actually,
Yeah.
This to me is ironic, but it's been a pretty big marking experience on my journey too. So I remember the day I realized these doctors can't help me. And that day was not only extremely painful, but very scary. You know why? Because at that point in time, my mind still thought that only they could help me. So I was like, you know what? If these guys can't help me, there's no solution.
No, I know that feeling.
And
There was a girl that I thought was going to help me in my situation, and I kept just waiting for her to help me, and like nothing was being changed, and
There you go.
it was like, okay, wait, she's not going to help me. I need to stand up for myself. She's not going to stand up for me. I need to stand up for myself. It's the same thing. I know that feeling. It's like it was the scariest time because it was like I felt let down by my fellow humans. You know, it's like why are people telling me that they can help me or that they can do anything or that things are going to get better if they're not? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. So.
But things didn't improve until I stopped listening.
Right, and once you just stop listening to them, then you start feeling more in control. You start feeling.
It's not only that, like I actually found better treatments.
Right.
Like I did. It's funny. It's like once you stop doing that, there's better treatment. I was like, I thought this is crazy. I still think it's crazy. But yeah.
So suffering. If you were here a year from now and you're feeling the same way, what would you do differently today?
No idea. No clue. Seriously, it's something I probably would have to live through to give you a real good answer. It's something I haven't thought through.
Mhm.
It doesn't enter my mind.
Well, you're in Santa Monica, one of the best cities in the world. What do you want to do while you're here?
Right now?
Sure.
Oh, there's so many things.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I have a really good friend from college that lives close by. I'd love to go out with her. Probably, yeah. Um, I'd love to go for a run by the beach every day I wake up. I used to like work out every day. Running by the water is one of my favorite things in the
Can
world.
you do a Segway tour, maybe?
What's that?
A Segway? You know, the things that you stand on that they move, they have motors. You just lean forward and they move forward.
I might, but it's not the
It's
same.
scary because you might injure yourself or something.
Yeah, and it's not. It's just not the same. I'd
It's
rather.
not
You
the
know what?
same,
I'd
but it's so
rather.
nice.
I'd rather. Which I did. And I'd probably go do either tomorrow or later today. I'd rather go for a walk, because at least in a walk I'm still moving myself,
Yeah.
and that makes me feel better.
Cool. Go for a walk at sunset.
So, Seth, this, by the way, part of the reason why I come here, not only because we're great company, but I love your location. Like this
It's
location
perfect, yeah.
makes me happy.
Yeah.
This location is therapeutic.
Right.
Part of the trip to LA.
It so much is. Yeah.
Part of the trip to LA is not just the doctor. Like I actually love coming here.
Yep.
It makes me feel good to be here.
I am so lucky with what I went through to be here. I feel like I've healed so much quicker than some of the guys I've talked to that have been through the same stuff I went through. And I see them still suffering. You know, they've been suffering for years, and some of them are still like trying to use legal methods of suing people, and they're stuck in this like contempt for humanity in a way. Like it's like if you tried to sue the doctors, and the next 10 years of your life was spent trying to sue these original doctors. Like
Yeah.
it's just a waste of your life. And I see these guys wasting their life that way because, you know, if they, I think it's probably because they don't live in as nice of areas that they don't have access to all this healing, this ocean. You just go down there and you see the sunset, and you're like, oh my God, thank you, Lord. Like, I don't know if I believe in you, but thank you. Yeah.
I agree.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks for chatting and sharing your experience with everyone. I'm sure someone else might find some guidance and wisdom in it.